business office blues. Oh, I can relate to that. Well, I bet people who work around here can relate to that. What does that say? When even banks can't afford Singapore's latest office rental price hikes, something must be wrong. We look at the crazy world of Singapore commercial property and ask, what's next? Fascinating. Obviously this is the reading material of any logos about, indicative of where it is that I have retired to. Oh, Starbucks coffee. There you go. Obviously my kind of place. I love the way they've tried to give it that homely feel by whacking a few seemingly orthopedic chairs in. I mean, I know I've got a bad back, but you know, there's no need to rub it in. I think this is called almond butter cake, which is basically a device, an edible device I've used to satiate the guilt I'm experiencing at hammering caffeine so hard today and finishing it off with a double espresso. I've become mildly addicted to espressos, but not in the sort of addiction way that it's going to ruin me life, you know, or destroy me friends and family. So there you go. Why am I in here when I was in the element, you know, living at ground level and eating food with the locals kind of thing earlier on? It's the only place that's open, and I stupidly wandered in the wrong direction and got lost after I had a poke at what I thought was corporate art and turned out to be a memorial towards the dead, or for the dead. Some dead, killed by some people labelled Japanese, lest we forget. There, I mean. So that's it. Also, of course, the chairs, as well as reminding me of old age and therefore sickness and death. Perhaps that's what they are. Perhaps this is corporate art, what do you reckon? Also, indicative of, if you look around, again, completely on my own, taking a holiday in Singapore, although I've come with people, I've holidayed essentially alone. And when you look at empty chairs, I don't know, should they really be filled with your mates going, hey, it was crazy walking around that monument before, you shouldn't have said what you said, man, you're gay, there'll be people who, nah, good your fuck. I enjoy my own company to a degree, but sometimes, and I imagine you feel the same sometimes, but I don't know if you're ever as moody as me, but I imagine you all get a bit off your heat sometimes in the anger department. And you just feel so pissed off with yourself that you kind of get outside of yourself. You kind of get out. It's just, you know, if you could just climb outside of your skin and be away from yourself, it'll be fine. But no, you're stuck with yourself. So the trick is to try and come to terms with yourself, isn't it? Be happy with yourself. Crucially, don't allow your happiness to sneakily, surreptitiously or insidiously become dependent upon another person being around, whether it be a relative, a loved one, offspring or whatever, because sooner or later they're all going to go. And so if you do choose those things to surround yourself with, and people do get a great deal of pleasure from the company of other people. I seem to be alone on this point. Alone, bad choice of word. But if you are to be around people, you should appreciate them for simply what they are and not get attached to them. But I don't want to go into the whole attachment thing. It's been done by well, all sorts of philosophies, Buddhism, even Western philosophy talks about the distinction between love and attachment, and then sub-distinctions of love, you know, unconditional love, which is a dodgy prospect. If you look at it from a Richard Dawkins kind of angle, you think, wow, you know, kind of unconditional love that naturally seems to manifest with little effort is the love of a mother for her child. Like, you know, a mother would do anything for the child. In most cases, obviously, some mothers are terrible, some children are terrible, but on the whole, yeah, you'd say that's about as close to unconditional love as contemporary humans get. But from a biological perspective, there's very sound biological reasons why you would behave in such a way, and I think that we do tend to over-romanticise it. But again, heading into dodgy territory. It's funny, since I've come to Singapore, I've been slightly wary about speaking my mind, partly because of the way the whole shebang is run. And it's kind of state-run, you know, and the whole idea that you can't see any cops anywhere and they're all plain clothes. And it does make you feel a little anxious when you're walking around talking into a little box and occasionally people look over at you. But what the hell, I am actually enjoying myself on my imaginary friend. Yes, Paul, you certainly are. You're a right laugh, but at the same time you're a bit mental and you get fucking angry and miserable sometimes, doesn't he? Oh, you can see that again, like fucking hell, you're a fucking cracker, you are, man. Bollocks, I'm Harry. I think. Caffeine. Post-alcohol, it's about all I've got. And I don't think it'll ever destroy my life, because if you keep hammering it, if you keep drinking caffeine, you just start feeling weird, you know? So you get that free-floating anxiety thing, like, I need to sit down, and then you get the shits, and oh, it's awful. So there seems to be a limit on it. Then again, I used to drink tons of alcohol, become completely anxious and get the shits. I must have spent years without passing a solid stool, imagine. And not being familiar with Starbucks that much, apart from walking by them and swearing a lot at the whole fucking corporate horseshit of it all, do they all have these kind of chandeliers and fucking bollocks like that in? Or is this just more Singapore excess, you know? We can do and build a fucking anything, look at it. Soulless, fucking scrotumless, ballless, fucking no heart whatsoever. Fucking bossa nova Harry style shit music in the background. It couldn't get more, I don't know. If you set someone a task, you know, to suck out the fucking life out of a fucking environment, they couldn't do much better than this. I think they've taken it to the max. They really do. But again, it feels safe, and I do kind of value that. But you've got to have a trade-off, you know. You've got to have a bit of danger. You've got to have the odd person yelling and vomiting in the street and all that you have to walk around, you know, on the slide. Rather than all of these absolutely happy as Larry just sort of, oh, I'm just walking home, safe as houses. Women walking alone. It's after 11 o'clock, you know, in the centre of town. If they were doing that down the big market, I don't know, they'd probably get home all right, but they'd still, you know, by anyone's fucking standards, they'd be taking their chances, you know. Then again, I don't think the big market has soul or balls. I think it's a horrible fucking shithole, and I wouldn't go there if you paid me. Actually, I would. Everyone has a price. Probably walk up and down it for £1,000 every day for a year. I don't know. Ugh, I don't like to think about the big market. Well, I rate this at, if this came out of a packet and you baked and you just made it yourself, I say made it yourself, you know, just stirred up the fucking sludge, bunged it in the fucking oven and pulled it out later, I'd rate it, for a packet sludge, I'd rate it about 8 out of 10. For human being made sludge, probably made with the same sort of weird strict recipes that fucking bullshit in McDonald's and so forth is made, I'd rate it at about a 5. In terms of character, its homeliness, its homemadeness, I'd rate it at, I don't know, how far do negative numbers go? Oh, to infinity. Well, I'd rate it at that. I was just thinking about numbers the other day, and the arbitrary rules we place around them in order to rein them in, as it were. And you'd think, negative numbers, they go on in the opposite direction to positive numbers, to infinity. That's a bit of a misnomer, thinking about it in terms of direction, isn't it? I don't even know when I go there, but for example, you could have negative numbers coming from infinity all the way to 0, where they stop, so an infinite number can reach an end, you see? So there you go. If you're up bored, stay awake, thinking about shit like that, passes the time away, and you'll wake up a better human being. Or if you don't think about things like that, you'll just end up fucking working in a fucking shit heap like that, like this. Isn't that right? Oh, you're fucking right, aren't I? Isn't that fucking right? How do you say, Marshall? I'm a bit fucking frightened of you now, actually. Yeah, man, there's no need to be frightened. I'm as harmless as Singapore, actually.